Good morning, everybody. This is your check-in for Monday, June 15th. Can you believe we're halfway through June already? I just can't believe how quickly this month has started to go. Before I do my devotional part of my check-in, I just wanted to take a minute and thank everybody. This congregation has been absolutely awesome as we've had to put protocols and procedures in place and perhaps some more than other churches because of us having a child development center. You guys have been great. You've asked questions for clarification. You followed our expectations. And when you forgot to pull a mask up and got a reminder, you were great about it. So we want to thank you so much. And remember that we're in summer hours. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can buzz in down at the slider and we'll remind you of those procedures as we continue moving forward. But just a huge thank you because you guys are helping us make this work. And that's so important. It's a true team effort here at Christ Lutheran. On Sunday, our first lesson we read was from Romans, and we talked about suffering and endurance and patience and hope. And after the morning, I just wanted to break it down a little bit more and spend a couple of days really looking at some of the part of Romans that Paul wrote. And I'm going to start today with something real simple. If I ask you to write a poem, write a story, draw a picture of what your Christian life has meant or has been to you, what would it look like? Or what would it sound like? That happened in a seminary. Seminary professor asked them to draw a picture of their understanding of their walk in the Christian life. And one of the girls came back in the class and had this beautiful picture. It had bright colors. It was just stunning to look at. And the professor looked at her and said, "Well, you've got a beautifully bright picture, but where's the darkness? Where were the hard times? Didn't you struggle at all?" And she had to go back and think about that. So my question to start with before I finish my story is, if you drew that picture, would you have dark and light colors or would it be mostly bright? What stands out to you most in your Christian life? I sat and reflected on that a long time this morning. And, I just traveling, looking back, I'm too young when I got baptized to remember that. But man, I remember things like the children's choir. I remember starting the youth choir with Carol and Sue and Pastor Engelman. And I remember youth activities. I remember getting married here in this church. I remember the birth of both of my children. Just amazing moments in my husband's and my world. I remember the birth of our grandson, Jackson. How I had to wait a few days before I could drive to Virginia just to hold that little guy. I watched my son get married. And right now I've retired and we're opening up the daycare. That was hard to say, wasn't it? I have a daughter getting married. I have a grandson being born. And that's just my personal life. I look at the life of this church and I see us growing and I see us pulling together. And it's so many highlights. I think my picture would be bright also. So what are the questions? Where were the hard times? Well, they were there. They were there this year when Pastor Steve and I had to figure out, what are we going to do with this COVID? Are we canceling church? Are we not having church at all? And I'll tell you what, we had like a list this long that we narrowed down. Even things like, what are we going to do with Vacation Bible School? Well, you bet we're having it. It's just going to be different. There are so many struggles in our church life and in our personal life that honestly, I could sit down and make a list of all the stuff that has jumped in my way or been placed in my way or I've put in my way. But ultimately, through those struggles, I've learned. I've learned God's grace. I've learned God's love. I've learned to slow down and listen to Him. And so in the midst of those struggles, there are so many positive things that come out of that. And that's what I ask for you to think about today. Included in your email is Rock of Ages. I mentioned it in my sermons yesterday, and that song just is near and dear to me, so I wanted to share that with you. Hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.